Welcome, Walnut. I'm Lara, but you can call me Laz, your host for Walnut Wednesday. This is your reminder to be brave, be yourself, and know that you can make the world a better place just by what you decide today. Here, I'm going to share my weekly walnuttings with you on a Wednesday. Hello, Walnut. It is me, Laz, here for another episode of Walnut Wednesday, and I am so excited for my guest this week, Shaneil. Welcome.
Hi, hello, everybody.
So, Walnut, Shaneil and I met online, obviously. I'm in New Zealand and she's in the UK. But I found Shaneil on a summit. So this is the beautiful connection of the internet and how you can find people who you align with. But ever since I heard her speak, I was just started following her and I need to talk to you. I need to speak to you. So Shaneil, without further ado, I would love if you could please introduce yourself to the walnuts that are listening to us today.
Hello, Walnuts. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. The internet is so funny how you're in one continent, I'm in one continent, but look, here we are. And even you guys listening, you're all over the place. And here we are, right? So fam unite. So I'm Shaneil. I'm the creator of the House of Evolution. And I like to call myself a reinvention strategist because I like all things reinvention, rebirth, evolution, that kind of thing. And mostly what I do is I help entrepreneurs to step into their next level, most hypnotic self. So that looks at their business, their life, just closing all chapters, glowing the fuck up, and stepping into their hottest, baddest, fiercest, wealthiest, most successful, delicious, juiciest self, and how we get there. We do the healing work, we do the marketing things, we do the soul work, we do all the things that it takes for each individual person to get to where they need to go. So yeah, that's me.
I love it. Yeah, in a walnut shell, I love it. That sounds just so scrumptious, like a big delicious piece of something yummy and delicious. I love it. With your journey, I would love to know, Shaneil, because you hold yourself in such I get real bad bitch vibes from you. I'm you would walk into if we were in a real life room, not just a online room, I would be like, oh, who's that girl? I would love to know how, was it always this way for you? Did you always have a bad bitch aura, or is it something that you've grown into, evolutioned into?
So that's actually a really good question, and I think it's so perfect with the conversations I've been having the past few weeks with my clients and things like that. But when I was younger, I was taught to become confident, right? You're taught. So I used to do theater arts and performance and be on stage, and so that level of confidence and being able to speak, it was there in person. But when I came online, I don't know what happened. It went out the door. It's it disappeared. Mm-hmm. And I remember I went to this, I had hired one of the top mentor, and she had this live event, and it was at the Ritz-Carlton. It was this big deal. And I remember I flew all the way to Miami to go to this event, and there were hundreds of women in the room. And I just remembered feeling oh my God, I'm one of the few Black people in the room. I have my accent. I still have an accent now, but this was 7 years ago. So my accent was thicker than a snicker, okay? So I love my accent, but I feel oh my God, I don't sound like anybody here. I don't look like anybody here. And then I realized everybody in this room is making 30K months, 20K months, and I was making $0, 0 cents, and 000. So I shrank. I felt so small in that moment. And I remembered at the event, she said, go to the bathroom, go interact with each other, go mingle, network. And I went to the bathroom and I hid until the event started back. I stayed in there until it was quiet. And then I snuck out. I felt so afraid. And I realized that I was comparing myself to other people. And I think everybody here, when you're with your friends, when you're with your best friend, when you're with your family, there's a certain group of people you might be around, and it's you are a whirlwind of fun. Like you are you. And what tends to happen is when we are outside of that comfort zone or outside of the things that we're used to, we can start to shrink. And so for me, I was not a bad bitch in those moments. I was afraid, I was scared. And what had to really take place was unlearning the programming that I wasn't enough and remembering the truth of who I am, not because of me from a performing arts background, but who I am in terms of I am made in the image and likeness of all that is, that was, that ever will be. I am literally the breath of God walking around in human form. I am fucking power in existence. I am power in expression. You are power in expression. And so it was really unlearning this thing of comparison. And this is why I talk about reinvention, and it's like closing old chapters, because there's a version of you now who knows you're capable of something big. You know that you want something more. But when you look at where you're at and when you look at where other people are, sometimes it can feel like you suck. Like it can feel like I fucking suck, you know? And so that the whole thing of evolution is not about becoming somebody else. It's about activating who you were made to fucking be. And if you want a clue as to who that is, look at who you are when you're with your friends. Look at who you are when you're with the people who are you laugh, you are you, and you don't shrink, you don't hide, you don't play small. You're unapologetic, right? And it's like, this is not about putting on a facade or a persona. It is bringing that to the stage of the online world, who you are in real life, the real you. And knowing that that version is worthy of all the money, is worthy of all the influence, is worthy of opportunities, is worthy of impact, like worthy, you, unfiltered, unhinged, unleashed in your full essence.
Oh, I thank you for sharing that. I love that. I got like goosebumps pretty much the whole time you were speaking. That was so powerful. It's like sometimes when I'm in like group situations or like formally when I, pre-Walnut era, when I was a peanut and afraid all the time, I was always, like you were saying, comparing to other people and feeling like they're so much more confident than me, they're so much better than me. But actually they were probably thinking the same thing. And one thing that I love, a mentor that I love to follow, she says, like, why are you comparing yourself to like that version of someone when you're back at this version? So something that I like is like to talk about quite a lot is just putting those blinders on and really like slaying in your own lane, like doing your best for you.
But today saying that, like, know your lane, claim your lane, and just fucking rock it. Because most times too though, like the reason, what I've found when I'm working with clients, because a lot of the clients I have worked with new people who are new in business, and I have clients who they're multiple six-figure earners. And what I notice is that as you continue to grow, you meet on those same challenges again, right? Because now you're in a whole other ball game. It's like you left kindergarten, now you're in junior high, or then now you're in high school or primary school or whatever. And so at every level, it's like you see the same thing come up again. It's like, but it's realizing that it's a journey, like you were saying, like somebody else, they're at chapter 20 and you're at like chapter 2, but then you feel like, oh my God, I'm not at chapter 20. It's like, yeah, but you're at chapter 2. Like you're at chapter, So it's also knowing your lane, meaning what are you actually called to do? But then also knowing like, what are you called? What season are you in?
Yeah.
And it's like the fuck out of that season. It's like, it's winter and I'm like, oh my God, where is the sun? And I'm just complaining the whole time. It's like, no. Let me get my coat. Let me get my boots. Let me go make a snow angel. Let me rock the fuck out of the season I am in. Because the more fun I'm having in this season, you'll see how quickly spring comes. You're like, oh man, winter's gone. Oh, my snowman is like, oh.
I love that. Yeah, really embracing being intentional with where you're at now and being in the moment now, right? I love that. I love that so much. Shaneil, if there was a walnut listening who was like a little bit asking for a friend, no, I just came out of a really big funk. And I know that I'm not the only one who has been in it. So I'd love to know if you could share a time where you've kind of not felt your baddest, felt, well, not the baddest in like the woohoo sense, in like the baddest as in a piece of shit, like really horrible time, depressed, all the things. Have you had a time like that and you've had to really use your emotional intelligence to pull yourself out? And like you say, put the coat on, make the angel. Like, have you got an example and sort of what you specifically did for someone who might be listening?
This is so listen, you know why this is so juicy? Because literally this morning I recorded an audio for the people who are coming into my program Hypnotic, like a little orientation kickstart, and this is exactly what I was talking about. So I have an answer ready. It's ready for you, my answer, because I go through a funk like every day. Like, first of all, right? So that's number one. But I've had periods where the funk was a long period. So for example, like even Christmas, January, that's the time of year where like, my mom passed away and it's like, you're not with family and different, so it's an emotional time. And then processing divorce at the same, so going through funk, listen, I've got you. So here's step one, guys, write this down. Number one, you've got to realize that no one is coming to save you. I love you dearly, but nobody is coming to save you, first and foremost. So when you realize that, this is like, we have to take responsibility for how we feel and what we're experiencing. Because whatever we're experiencing, we co-created a lot of times what we're experiencing. We are a part of it, right? Not everything, obviously. Like I didn't co-create my mom dying, at a 3D level. At a soul level, yeah. But in a 3D, no, I didn't. But the truth is how I'm feeling now and who I am now or who you are now in the separation or in the business or in the finances, no one's coming to save you. So that's first of all, take responsibility for how you are now. But here's the second thing, and this is the part where this is where we it's kind of like an ebb and flow between the masculine and the feminine, right? Because that taking responsibility, that's some masculine energy shit right there. That's some like, no one's coming to save me, like masculine. But then we've got to ebb and then we've got to flow into the femme, which is the actually realizing, what am I feeling? And it's allowing yourself to go into the shadow. So there were times when I would be going in a funk and I would, honest to goodness, like order Wendy's every day.
Yeah.
For like an end, just order Wendy's or pizza, just draw my sword. Or I would just watch the shows, or I would just sleep, or I believe number two, the second thing is give yourself grace and give yourself a moment to like feel how you feel. So if that means you want to eat whatever, you want to drink whatever, sleep, but then I need you to go into the shadow. I need you to go into what you're feeling. So I feel sad because of this. I'm fucking pissed because of this. I feel guilty because of this. I feel shame because of this. It is so important for us to get into intimacy with ourselves, because life is a relationship that is mirroring back to us, whatever is inside here. So I need you to face the music of, I feel alone. I feel overwhelmed. I feel unloved. I feel abandoned. What do you feel? And I need you to allow yourself to be in intimacy with yourself and do the internal shadow work around that. That's the next thing. Now, it might take a day, it might take a week, however long it takes, but go into it with yourself. It never takes as long as we think it's going to take. Most times there's actually this thing that says that a bout of sadness, when you allow yourself to feel it, will be from 2 to 20 minutes. So you will not cry beyond that. So if you allow yourself to feel it, it will from 20 seconds to 20 minutes. So you might cry and be sad at it, then 20 seconds you're like, feels so much better. Or you may be bawling for 20 minutes and it feels like forever, but sweetie, it's literally only 20 minutes. So feel it. Go there. Be in sacred submission to your shadow and feel what you're feeling. Heal what needs to be healed. Go into it. Right? So whether that means praying, journaling, crying, tapping, chanting, rolling on the floor, kicking, screaming, like give yourself the space to do that shit. Then we're going to ebb back into the masculine, which is after you've cleared that, you get to the place of, and what do I want to what do I want to focus on? What do I really want? What is the structure, the desire of what do I want? And what do I need to do to get there? And then you get that focused energy. And you do whatever you need to do. So maybe you get a divine download to write a post. Maybe you get a divine download to call a person and say, hey, listen, we need to talk through this thing. Maybe you get a thing to go have a shower, because we all know, like, when we're in our funks, like, I don't know about you, but I'm like, I get the motivation to go brush my teeth, because God knows when I'm in my funk, like 2 days passing and I'm like, oh, it's been 2 days, but I'm like, I'm in a mood, right? Go have a shower, go have a bath, go for a walk, open the windows, open the blinds, let some sunlight in, right? Like, so you do the thing. And that's how you get there. So what we want to do is we want to go from I feel in a funk to like, oh, I'm on top of the world. But like, no, what's the next step? The next step is, okay, let me eat this Wendy's burger with compassion for myself, knowing that when I'm done, I'm going to go cry. I'm going to go feel. I'm going to go journal. I'm going to go process. Once that's done, the next step is, okay, I need to process. I got to process. I got to process. And when you're done, then the next step is, okay, well, then what do I want? How do I want it to be? What is my desire? And then the next step is, okay, well, what's the next step for me to move forward? Okay, let me just open the window. And then to open the window, you're like, you know what? Let me play some music. And then you're like, you know what? Let me just dance. And then all of a sudden you're like, you know what? Let me cook myself something. You're cooking, you're like, and then all of a sudden you're like in a different mood. But it's the compassion that allows us to take it one step at a time. It's okay. You wake up in the morning, you're in a fucking shitty mood. You give yourself grace, and then you feel what you feel, and you take one step out, the next step, and the next step. And before you know it, you're running a mile. You're running 5 miles. And you're like, I'm on top of the world. And you may have to do this multiple times throughout the day, especially if you're going through a major life transition. You may have to, like, maybe you had a baby or you're, or something's happening in your business or at work. Like, you may have to shift this at multiple times a day, but the more you do it, the better you get. You know how to, like, you go to the bathroom at work, you close the door, and you're like, and you don't beat yourself up because you're not on cloud 9 all the time. Like, no one is. People just show when they are. But nobody's on cloud 9 all the time. No one.
I love that. And I think you've used some really like powerful terminologies, and really highlighted and acknowledged the power of the baby step. Again, something that I'm really like, I swear by. I'm not like a grand gesture, like go quit my job and, do the thing person. I'm like okay, how you were saying, what's next? Okay, I've done this. What now? Yeah. What do I feel like now? And being really intentional in the smaller moments, because they bring you to the big moments, and all of a sudden you're on this end and you're looking back in hindsight going, man, I felt really shit, but I feel good now. So it's, yeah, a really beautiful, in your words, like an evolution, and it can be like a daily, hourly thing. And I love how you mentioned about the crying for 20 minutes. I think that's really like, yeah, like now that I think about it, you don't actually end up crying all day long,
Yeah, so give yourself the space to do that, because most times we just want to get to the end goal. We just want to feel better. But it's like, especially when you're in a funk. Now, obviously there's times when you can just shift into feeling better, right? But when you're in a serious funk, it's not always going to be instantaneous like that. So it's just like, well, what's the next step? What's the next step? And when we stop beating ourselves up, we actually get to the next step. And then that's actually how you quantum leap. When you stop beating yourself up, you'll be like 10 steps ahead, because you stopped like burdening yourself down with the heaviness of it all. Just feel it.
Beautiful. And I really loved, I actually wrote down what you said before, just in sentence, but you said a sacred submission. And I feel like that I can feel that all through my body. And I'd love if you can explain that a little bit more about the feminine, just like leaning back and really releasing and submitting. Can you talk about the term sacred submission a little bit more?
So you see, this is what I like about these kind of things. Like, I never planned to say that. That just came out, sacred submission to your shadow. But in as we speak about it, or even as we think about what it is in practice, it is realizing that there are ebbs and flows, right? There are ebbs and flows. Let me see what analogy I can use. Okay, it's kind of like the same thing of the seasons, right? Spring, winter, spring, summer, and fall is like, the more you just surrender or accept that we are in winter, the more you can actually work with it instead of fight against it. So let's say it's like freezing outside, and I'm like, I hate the fact that it's winter right now. I just wish it was summer. And I'm like, I don't care. I want it to be summer. So I'm going outside in my fucking bikini. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm going out there in it. And I'm gonna wear my tank top, and I'm gonna wear my booty shorts, and I'm wearing flip-flops, and I don't care. I'm going out there in the snow. No, you'll be fine for like the first few minutes, but when you get hypothermia, or when you start to get frostbite, you're fighting with nature at this moment. And the wind starts to come in, and your ears are freezing off because you're wearing your high pony and you're feeling all cute. Like, what would happen if you said, it is winter, and I honor this moment, because this moment of death and crisis will create a space for rebirth in the spring, will create a space for like, it gives nature a chance to just rest. It gives the trees a chance to go slow. It gives the animals a chance to hibernate. When I understand that this moment is important, this moment of going slow, this moment of going within, this moment of submitting to the journey and the process is actually necessary for the cycle of life. When I understand that and I accept that, I know that I can prepare myself in my jacket, my cozy jacket, and I can step out there and I can honor the snowflakes. I can honor the wind. I can honor the brown and the dark of the trees. I can honor that the sun is not rising in this moment, and I can look at the beauty of it. I can look at the crispness of it. All of a sudden, I'm seeing the magic of winter. I'm seeing the dancing snowflakes. I'm seeing the kids playing in the snow. I'm seeing the beauty in it. So you cannot see the magic in it until you've surrendered to it. You cannot witness the glory of it until you've allowed yourself to shed the craving for something else, to be present in it, right? Because then immediately as you surrender, all of a sudden the frost starts to melt. And then you see the little shoots of plants start coming up, and it's like, all of a sudden the sun is not setting at 4 p.m. anymore. Oh my gosh, it's 5 o'clock and there's light. You feel lighter. 6 o'clock, you feel lighter. 7 o'clock, it's still bright. And you're like, something's changing. Newness is coming. It's happening. And we have the same thing in our physical bodies, especially as women, when we have our actual moon cycle, because our actual menstrual cycle is a cycle of seasons. And it's like, when you're experiencing your bleed, if you are like, oh my God, I just want my period to be over. This is the worst time ever. I hate this. I'm bloated. That doesn't make it go any faster. But what if you allowed yourself to say, well, actually, I'm gonna just honor myself. I'm just gonna eat my favorite snacks. I'm just gonna be in my own cave. I'm just gonna be in my own thing. And then before you know it, you're like, really? 3 days have passed, 4 days have, oh man, I've gotta get, but now you feel excited and you want to get out there again. So the sacred surrender is realizing where you're at, allowing yourself to be there in that moment, process what it is. Don't try to fix it, but be with it, because in the being with it, it unfolds into resolving itself and naturally like cascading into the next step.
Oh, that I love those analogies. I keep saying I love everything. Beautiful analogy. Thank you so much for explaining that in a way that like I could literally envision envision the seasons in my mind. I really appreciate how you've worded that, Shaneil. With all my guests, I do have one sort of token question that I like to ask. But before I ask that of you, if there is a walnut listening who is like, I need this woman up in my life right now, where can walnuts connect with you or find you online or watch a couple of things that you're up to? Let us know how to connect with you.
So the best place is on thehouseofevolution.co on Instagram. So this is where you'll see, mostly in my stories where I do the things. So if you really want to connect, definitely watching stories, but that's where you'll be able to connect with me. I do live streams on there. I post, like posts and quotes and videos and trainings and things on my Instagram. If I don't post anywhere else, it's always going to be my Instagram. But what I will recommend is every month I host at least one free masterclass. And so I would advise, you can't go wrong, signing up for the upcoming one. Actually, I'll tell you guys here now, secret, don't tell anyone. I haven't announced it yet to my Instagram fam. They're usually the first to know, but exclusive, walnut exclusive. You guys get first. The one that's coming up next is called From Invisible to Irresistible. AF, okay, right? Because back in the day, my brand was actually irresistible in your industry, and we're bringing back that little irresistible vibe, so that you are standing out, so that you are a bad bitch, so that you are a walnut, so that you are in your power and you're not holding back, regardless of what's going on in life, regardless of the ebbs and flows, how to be in your most potent, hypnotic, magnetic self, regardless of the ebbs and flows of life. So when you sign up for the free masterclasses, you'll be a part of my newsletter, my email list, and you'll always be able to know what juicy things are coming up when you do that.
Oh, amazing. Thank you. And that sounds really delicious. Shaneil, what does being a walnut mean to you?
I've been waiting for this question. So for me, being a walnut is being unapologetic. Just being completely unapologetic. That means with all of you, with the ebbs, with the flows, with your fierceness, with your sexiness, with your feminine, with your masculine, with your bad bitchery, with all of who you are. For me, being a walnut is being unapologetic.
Oh, I love when a definition is like, there have been so many beautiful definitions of being a walnut, but I love when it is a quick, like, yes, hit me in the sacral, unapologetic, beautiful analogy. One more thing before we wrap up, my beautiful goddess, delicious banana. If there is a walnut listening who is like, I don't feel very good, I feel like invisible, not good enough, is there anything on your heart that you feel like you haven't shared with someone who's listening to us today, that you really want to kind of drill into to someone that's out there?
I think what I would say is, and this is something that we hear all the time, but hopefully when you hear it today, you hear it with different ears. That's my hope for you. But you're enough. You're fucking enough. You are enough. You are enough for what you desire. You are enough for what you want. Not because you've done anything to earn it, but because you just fucking exist. You are enough. That's my word to you today. Like, you are more than enough. Lock that in. Hold that for you. Let that ring true in your heart, in every cell of your being. You are more than enough.
Thank you so much. Walnut, pause, rewind that a few seconds and play it again. You are enough. That is so beautiful. Walnut, thank you for your time and for listening to this episode. Again, you can find Shaneil at houseofevolution.co on Instagram and me at Walnut Wednesday. If you enjoyed this, please share and tag us. We definitely want to hear from you and talk to you more. And yeah, again, just appreciate your time and being here and being on the podcast. And Shaneil, finally, we are here. We are talking. We have done this. I could talk to you for so much longer. So I'm just so glad that we're connected, and I love you. I appreciate your time and for all of the wisdom that you've shared on Walnut Wednesday today. I just really appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
For having me. This is fun, and I can't wait to share with my peeps about the House of Evolution back home. Yes.
Yay. Bye, everyone.